What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel for another FM22 video. And today we are doing a little bit of an experiment. I'm sure you guys are fully aware now of the sanctions that are going to be in place on Chelsea Football Club moving things forward after Roman Abramovich, their owner, had his assets seized. Now, Chelsea Football Club, definitely part of that. We wanted to see what would happen to them and what would happen to the football club if we imposed some of those sanctions on the team in FM22. This is a massive shout out to CTxCB, who's provided me with this save file, basically with all the sanctions imposed on Chelsea in FM, so that you can go through and kind of see what might be in store for Chelsea as we move things forward. If you like the FM22 experiments, guys, please do drop a like on today's video and subscribe if you are picking up the content for the very first time. It really does help me get this content out to as many people as humanly possible, and really does help in that YouTube algorithm. So without any further ado, let's dive in and take a look at the sanctions that are going to be imposed on Chelsea in this save. So guys, these are the sanctions that have been imposed on Chelsea moving things forward. They will be undergoing a transfer embargo until the 1st of the 7th, 2025. This is only a 4-year simulation, but we wanted to see what it would be like under a transfer embargo. Home and away supporter bans in all competitions until the same date in 2025. They are unable to field players over the age of 23 until the 2025-2026 season in all domestic competitions, both league and cup. All assets have been wiped. That includes current balance and all sponsorships to Chelsea FC. And they are currently renting Vicarage Road from Watford until the same date as well, the 1st of the 7th, 2025, when they will move back to Stamford Bridge, as we've deemed that it will be seized as an asset as well. So guys, we have opened this database with Chelsea, and there are a few things that I want to touch on because it is very interesting. So the first thing that you notice once you jump in and you become the manager of Chelsea is this: transfer embargo has been placed. Obviously, we mentioned that the transfer embargo is part of this, but they will not be able to sign players until the 1st of July 2025. So it's a long period to go through, so definitely something to pay attention to there. I've also, you get this email as soon as you load up FM anyway, but this is kind of something that you're going to want to see. So as per 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 here, he's currently on £150,000 a week. If we go on to renew his contract and offer him a new deal, my client would be extremely interested in remaining at the club, but he feels that the club lacks the financial muscle to be able to meet his contract demands. Now, there are a few reasons for that. Obviously, we mentioned we wiped the finances. Here they are. Everything is gone. Transfer budget, zero. They are currently in £4.8 million worth of debt, and that is only going to go in one way. Obviously, we said we got rid of the sponsors, no sponsorship data to show, and fingers crossed that won't be moving forward anytime soon. In terms of some of the other stuff, if we go into the competitions, guys, obviously Chelsea are in a lot of competitions at the start of an FM21 save. So they are in the Premier League, they are in the Emirates FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, where they are only able to field players 23 and under. They are in the Champions League, and they also do have the UEFA Super Cup as well. If we go into that Premier League, though, you can see they are at the bottom of the table already in 20th position before a ball is even kicked on -9. They've had 9 points deducted for going into administration. So this is going to be a really intriguing season, and I'm very intrigued to see how they get on in terms of getting into Europe and stuff like that, to see the power and how effective this ban on players will be over the age of 23. If we go into the squad registration, as you can see here, there is a maximum of 0 players over 23 allowed in the squad, born before the 1st of the 1st, 1998. So if we auto select the Chelsea squad, this is who the players we're looking at using. They don't have a goalkeeper for a start. Kepa, Mendy, and Bettinelli are all unable to play in the Premier League and all unable to play domestically. Thiago Silva, etc., not allowed to play. Rudiger is not allowed to play. The players that are allowed to play: Maling Sarr, Chalobah, Reece James, Dylan Williams. This is not going to be good for Chelsea, is it? Harvey Vale, Ballo, Mason Mount can still play. Christian Pulisic can still play. Kai Havertz can still play. So it's not the end of the world. And Jude Asunsub-Bell can play as well. But look at all the names that cannot play in the Premier League. Lukaku obviously cannot play. Timo Werner, some Chelsea fans will probably say that's of benefit to them. But they've got so many players that that are big household names that now cannot play under this particular sanction that we've put on. What we're going to do, guys, we're going to jump forward 1 year to see how this first season gets on, and starting on -9 points, pray for Chelsea. So then, guys, we are back at the end of the season, and we are here to take a look at how Chelsea got on. And it's bad news, Chelsea fans. You were relegated in that first season, securing only 6 points in the Premier League. Obviously, they were deducted 9, so they managed to gain 15 points in total, but obviously that is still nowhere near enough to get yourselves out of the trouble. 2 victories throughout the course of the season. They beat Brighton and Palace both at home. 9 draws as well. As you can see on the screen there, Burnley, Palace, Southampton, Brentford twice, Leeds, Newcastle, Watford and Leicester, and then 27 losses. They've got a pretty poor minus 47 goal difference as well, as they finish at the bottom of the Premier League table. If we go into Chelsea as well, they've appointed 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 as their manager, and obviously you can see some of the players here. Their captain is now 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. They still do have the facilities because we weren't able to snap that back at the end of the sort of transfer ban sort of time period. So if we have a look at their schedule for this season, no real surprises here. They go into the Super Cup. They are allowed to play over 23s in European competitions. They are allowed to do that. As you can see, this team here, Mendy, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, Rudiger, James, is kind of the players that you would expect in a Chelsea team, but they didn't win it. They unfortunately didn't. They go into the Premier League table though, Premier League games, the first game of the Premier League season. They take on Liverpool at home, and this is the Chelsea team that played. Let me expand this column a little bit so we can see the team a little bit better. So as you can see, in goal, this guy, Teddy Sharman-Lowe, he's not a good goalkeeper. He's playing in the Premier League. He is has in front of him 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, Chalobah and Sarr as a back three. Hudson-Odoi is playing alongside Williams, Barlow, McEachran, Pulisic, Mount and Kai Havertz against the full strength of this Liverpool team. No real surprises that this one runs out 3-1 and Chelsea get absolutely dominated. The season doesn't really pick up from there. Losses to Villa, losses to City, lose to Wolves. Obviously in the Champions League things are a little bit different. They are allowed to field the sort of over 23-year-old players in the Champions League, so looks like they had a relatively successful group stage. We go into the stages here. Oh, it's already ticked over to the next season. That's a bummer. So they beat Monaco, they beat Dortmund, they draw Besiktas. They actually beat Liverpool in the Carabao Cup 4th round, so they managed to do that, beat Besiktas. So they go through in the Champions League by the looks of things, and then in that, hold on, no, they don't go through in the Champions League. Even with being able to play their first 11, they don't go through in the Champions League. That's crazy. That is crazy. So they don't go through in the Champions League. They get to the quarterfinals, they get to the semi-finals actually of the EFL Trophy, but then come unstuck to Manchester City. Going through, obviously there's a lot of losses here in this Premier League. They go into, oh no, they did go through in the Champions League. It's just down in February because of the FIFA Club World Cup, which they win. They win the FIFA Club World Cup, which is a very weird season. Win the FIFA Club World Cup, and then they get into the knockout stages of the Champions League. They beat Juventus in that, and then they go out eventually in that quarterfinal stage to Atletico Madrid, but that performance in the Premier League just not good enough really. They go through into the semi-final, of that Champions League. They do go through. They get through past Atletico Madrid on penalties here after a 1-0 loss, and then into the semi-finals where they lose to Manchester United. But these Premier League results, man, they are really, really poor. So they did okay in the cup competitions, even with the sanctions in the domestic cup competitions, but it's not a good look for Chelsea. So they will be playing Championship football next season. They do have an estimated value of 2 billion, which I just saw there. In terms of their goals scored, I'm just curious to see who scored and how many they scored. So they scored 38 goals, averaging a goal a game in the Premier League, but shipped in 85 goals. Obviously, this will boost up some of their youngsters, but it's not a good look for Chelsea. Let's see what happens in Season 2. Can they bounce back from being in the Championship? So then, guys, here are Chelsea in this second season. They are in the Championship, and first and foremost, we are going to talk about a little bit of a transfer update. Obviously, loads of players that they are unable to give contracts to. They don't have the financial muscle to give contracts to players. So a lot of them are leaving the club. They have sold players in the value of 236 million. If we sort this by the most expensive, Lukaku gone to Real Madrid for 88 million. 𝘼𝙗 across town to Tottenham. Not a very good transfer there for 43. Jorginho goes to Arsenal. Pulisic goes to Newcastle United. Ziyech to Manchester United. Ross Barkley to Brentford. Matt Miazga goes as well. Batshuayi, Loftus-Cheek. There are so many players in here that are going. The guy who played in goal for that opening game, Teddy 𝘼𝙗𝙪, he's gone as well to Rotherham's under-18s. Thiago Silva's gone back to Fluminense in Brazil, or gone to Fluminense in Brazil. He's gone back to Brazil. Andres Christensen also leaves on a free transfer, and then you've got some players here going out on loan. Kepa, one of them. Ben Chilwell going out on loan as well. It's a very, very interesting season and what's happened for Chelsea. If we go into the Sky Bet Championship, you can see that they were beaten in that playoff final by Nottingham Forest. Kai Havertz staying at the club and is the top goal scorer in the championship, and he's also got 9 man of the matches. They've kind of switched things up a little bit in terms of their formation, and this is the team that Chelsea played in that playoff final. So coming as in goal, Hudson-Odoi, Chalobah, Ampadu, Sarr, Lawrence, who I don't know who that is. Conor Gallagher's back at the club. Mason Mount is still there. Billy Gilmore's back. Kai Havertz and Borja. I don't know who this guy is, but he actually looks quite solid. He's under 21 years of age. Obviously, they've not bought him. So he is doing some interesting stuff here as we go back. Losing in that playoff final, though, not a quick return to the Premier League, as some Chelsea fans probably would be hoping for. Who missed the penalties, just out of curiosity? Webster. Charlie Webster. It's a difficult day for him at Wembley Stadium. In terms of the league, though, it looks like they actually did okay. If we go into the league table, as you can see, finishing in 5th, 82 points for Chelsea. So they did okay. Couldn't really bounce back. If we go into the Chelsea manager, it's Steve Bruce now. They did have 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 Louw for that Premier League season. He has now been sacked. It is now Steve Bruce. I don't know what to say, guys. Don't know what to say. They were predicted to finish first and they didn't, so it's going to be interesting to see if they do hold on to Steve Bruce. Some interesting results in here. Going out of the cups, relatively straightforward, as you kind of would expect. EFL First Cup, they do beat Bristol Rovers. They beat Oxford in the second round, then go out in the third round to Middlesbrough. And then towards the end of the season, going out in the third round of the FA Cup to West Ham. That's a big loss for Chelsea fans, I'm sure. And then as relatively solid towards the end of the season, but they're still not getting enough goals, if you ask me, even with Kai Havertz winning the Championship Golden Boot. We've got 2 more seasons of this to go. Let's see if they can get out the Championship in season number 3. So then, guys, we've gone through season number 3 and another massive summer of selling players. £302 million recouped in terms of the finances, but big exits here. Mason Mount has gone to Leicester for 51 million. Kovacic to Newcastle for 48.5. Kai Havertz to Bayern Munich, 48. Mendy to Milan, 29 million. Ben Chilwell's gone to Newcastle after his loan. Hudson-Odoi's gone to Liverpool. Marling Sarr's gone. Bakayoko's gone. Reece James for 14 million. When I saw this, it absolutely blew my mind. I love Reece James in FM22. Kepa's gone as well. Chalobah's gone. Azpilicueta's gone. And then obviously we've got a couple of the smaller fees towards the bottom. And of course, crucially, no players coming into the club. If we go into the Championship, though, they have again lost in that playoff final, this time to Watford. Let's take a look at that. No top goal scorers in the list, or in the top 3 at the very least. Billy Gilmore was there inside there at the top 4 number of assists, but this is the Chelsea team then that played in that Championship playoff final. Carpenter, Lawrence, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, Ampadu, Hall, Matson, Gilmore, Webster, Gallagher, Borja, and Vale. Vale is a player who I definitely don't know. Harvey Vale playing up top in the Championship playoff final. And unfortunately, Chelsea were unable to get it done in the Championship for a second season in a row. A second penalty shootout loss at Wembley. I'm just waiting for this match report to load so we can see who managed to score the penalties for Watford and who managed managed to miss the penalties for Chelsea. Fofana missed a penalty for Watford, but Billy Gilmore and the defender's name, who I'm not even going to attempt to say again, and 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is how I'm going to go for it this time, missed the penalties for Chelsea, which sees them remain in the Championship for a third season. It's a big struggle. It's a big struggle. If we go back onto Chelsea now, you can see that they have now sacked their manager. If we go into their history and their managers, we can have a look. Thomas Tuchel was there, obviously. Neil Bath comes in as that caretaker manager. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 was there, and then Steve Bruce resigned. So going into season number 4, they're going to need to find a new manager and see what can happen with him. So without any further ado, guys, we're going to simulate forward another season of this rebuild. Not really a rebuild, a sanction video, this experiment video, and see if they can get out at the third time of asking and get themselves back into the Premier League. So then, guys, this is season number 4. This is the last stop on this tour to see what could happen to Chelsea with all of these sanctions in place. Conor Gallagher has now gone to Leicester City for 22 million. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 𝙈𝙚 has now gone for 19 million. And then obviously you've got some of the loans and one of the freebies going out at the end of the season. In terms of the club, though, if we go into the profile, they have John Carver as their manager. That name is very familiar, and I don't understand why. A West Brom assistant at Newcastle. Is he the man to really lead Chelsea forward? Was he the first manager that they appointed? No, it wasn't. They got in Nigel Clough, who got sacked as Chelsea manager. Neil Bath stepped in for 21 days, and then John Carver has taken things over. If we go into the Championship again, though, notice not in that playoff final. So if we go to the league table, you can see Chelsea finish in 7th, not inside that playoffs. Even Derby have now recovered from their financial struggles and have bounced back with 76 points, which saw them go into that playoffs. But unfortunately, in the final, Derby lose to West Brom. A little bit more progress for Chelsea, though. As you can see here, Soonsup Bell is the top goal scorer in the Championship. He actually looks like he's developed quite nicely. Driven personality, scored 30 goals in all competitions this season, along with 6 assists in 39 games. Almost a goal contribution every single game for him. But unfortunately, a very poor season for Chelsea. In terms of their schedule, how did they get on in some of these competitions? Really poor start to the season, and somehow they've managed to turn it around and get themselves in. Nigel Clough obviously doing a very poor job here right at the start, and then for them to get into the Championship playoff or just outside, it is a very good run. Great run in January, solid enough in February, and then the run from sort of early March all the way through to the end of the season again. Very good from the new manager, but this Chelsea team is very much on the ropes. They are at the moment about to bounce back. They are about to leave Vicarage Road. They will, once this gets to the 1st of July, be back at Stamford Bridge. They will have all of their assets again, so it'll be interesting to see how they do progress. If that is something you would like to see, though, guys, please do let me know down in the comment section, and also whilst you're down there, let me know what you thought of this video, this little experiment video of what could potentially happen to Chelsea with all of these sanctions. Obviously, this is a hypothetical. This is what's happened in Football Manager. This is how it has played out. Do you reckon Chelsea are going to suffer the same fate in real life? If you have enjoyed today's video, guys, please do drop a like on it down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. And until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you on another one very soon.